Significance is one of the basic psychological needs all children have. And they can meet that need externally, and that can cause a lot of harm or damage or behaviors that are not helpful. Or they can learn to meet that need internally, and that allows them to be authentic and allow them to respond and to interact and develop in a way that is meant for them.
Children are great by their very nature, and we have the privilege and responsibility of raising them. It can be challenging at times. Let's talk about it.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Armstrong. I'm a general and special education teacher. I homeschooled my own children for 5 years, and the things I talk about are those things that I've learned academically and alternatively outside of schools that worked for me and my children and my students, and that I want to share with you. And today is one of those basic foundational needs children have, and that is to feel significant. And if you look around in the world, you see a lot of ways that people are meeting that need externally. They get it from other people. And when they don't get it from other people, they'll get depressed or they'll get angry, and they just somebody took that from them when really they gave it away. And if we're talking about ourselves, because I do ask us that we relate as parents, once we get it, once we understand it, once we demonstrate it for our children, that really can accelerate their learning. So, significance. What is significance? So, significance in this case is that feeling that we're important, that we have an effect on the world around us, that because we're in the world, we have an impact on it. We're part of something. And when our children meet that externally, they are often looking for praise. This is one of the reasons children might become praise junkies. I need you to comment on my cute clothes. I want you to tell me how great I am. As children get older, then I've got to be top in my class. I've got to win the awards. At work, I need all the um, the praise and I'm meeting my significance from other people telling me how great and significant I am. And this is not helpful because then we're dependent upon other people and circumstances and situations then become responsible for our significance. And how likely is that to benefit us? How likely are we to able to meet that significance at any time? Yeah, it's not very likely. People let us down all the time. Situations change all the time. And so if we don't have that internally, then we can feel depressed, we can feel anxious, we can feel angry. We might become angry because somebody took that from us or didn't give it to us when we deserved it or needed it or wanted it. Right? And so this significance can play a large part um, in behaviors. Children, if they aren't able to get that significance by what they do, they're not the smartest kid in class, or at least academically. They aren't the most skilled uh, football player or basketball player or soccer player, right? If they don't have um, some way that they externally meet that significance and haven't learned to meet it internally, then they're going to go to acting out, right? If you take siblings, right? I am important to my brother. If I go up and I pummel my brother, I am very significant to him in that moment. If mom asks me to do something and I start yelling or swearing or I refuse, and I get my mom all riled up, or I get whoever's listening in all riled up, then wow, am I significant to them? And children are not thinking this. They're not saying, "Ooh, how can I meet my significance?" I know I'm going to make somebody angry at me. I'm going to hurt somebody so that I feel significant to them, in myself because of my impact on them. This is subconsciously going on. So often when we ask children, young or old, why did you do that? What do? Most times they just shrug their shoulders or they blame. Well, he did that, or I wanted that, or they'll blame or just give us that, I don't know. And they don't consciously know all the time. So huge, right? What does that mean for you when you're with your children, when you see your children's behaviors, right? If your teenage daughter starts dressing in more revealing clothes, right? Maybe that's how they're getting their significance from the looks and the comments from others. If your child wants to bulk out and does drugs to do that, right? They could be, that's one of the things they could be meeting is that significance, because look, I'm going to get comments on how big and bulked out I am. All right. Lots of problems around meeting needs of significance uh, externally. Like that can bring a lot of pain into our lives and our children's lives. So, how do we meet that internally then? How do we feel that I'm important to the world? I'm important. Uh, my existence means something. One of the most significant ways to meet that significance is if there is a religious belief, and not necessarily a religion, but that belief that I am part of something bigger outside of myself. I am a child of God. I am part of the universe. I am connected to all things. If we have that uh, that belief of our existence being important, of being impactful just because we are, then that really helps us to meet that need internally. So if you don't have a belief of that nature, and it doesn't matter what belief that is, but just that you have it and that you feel it, or your child has it and they feel it, we can also just have that idea, you know, uh, uh, of unconditional love. Like, I love people, and it can be simple. It can be, I got that box that was higher up, or that bottle that was higher up at the grocery store for someone. And that's a little thing, right? But I can choose to create the thoughts inside me that I am significant, that I feel significant. And the tricky part is then not needing a response back, because then it becomes external. But if we can do something for someone, and no matter how they responded to it, feel that significance, feel that learning and that growth and that being inside of me, and I can um, take that in and create that internally, then I have that significance. But if I get that box down and I need that person at the grocery store to say thank you, or to respond in a particular way, that becomes external. But even if that person might be a little embarrassed that they weren't able to get it themselves, so they respond gruffly, or I could have gotten it, or they if they do away in a manner that we then say, "Oh, that's not the response I needed to feel significant." But we just feel, "Oh, maybe I still helped them." You know, I did my part, and they might be a little grumpy right now, but who knows what impact that has down the road. But I know it will have an impact. Right? So, those kind of thoughts, those kind of beliefs, taking it internally and not needing something externally really helps our children, and it helps us as parents, right? When we're aware of it, when we try and use our children to meet our significance, my child has to have the best grades because then I feel significant as a parent, right? Or my child has to hug and kiss me every time we say goodbye because then I feel significant, right? When we require something from somebody else, then we're meeting our need externally. And then the second part of how that helps us as a parent is we play a part in our children's behaviors when they're related to significance or pretty much any other things. But since we're talking about significance, so if our child wasn't getting that significance met, in a helpful or a beneficial way, or in what we might call, that positive praise way, which again is just as damaging. It's just as damaging as if they try and meet it negatively. But let's use that example of yelling at the mother when we've asked them to do something, right? Or they swear at us or they do things like that. Then they're meeting their significance in that moment. But we continue that depending on how we respond. If we respond in a way that doesn't give them that significance, which is pretty much responding back in anger or grumpiness or with expectations of how they should behave, but we respond to that with unconditional love, then they're like, oh, that doesn't really meet that need of significance to behave this way. But when we play into it, right? When we get these cycles, they do this, we do that, they do this, we do that, then we perpetuate um, those behaviors and help them to meet those needs externally instead of meet them internally. And that, I'll say this because I say it like every time, that can be tricky, uh, because that doesn't mean we just allow all behaviors. It means we respond calmly and let them know how we will act. You choose to yell at me, and so when that happens, I'm going to choose to do this from my understanding, my thoughts, my beliefs. Then I'm going to choose to do this. Not because of them, not because of them, but because of our thoughts and our beliefs uh, around that. I love you, even when you're yelling at me. I love you. But that brings a negative energy into our home. And and my thoughts and beliefs are, that's not what I want in my home. So when you choose to do that, then I'm going to choose to, uh, you know, add a chore on, or um, ask you to do this service for somebody in the household. Uh, or whatever it is for you and for your child and for your situation and for the age. But we still act, we still respond, we still teach, but we try and do it with that love, that unconditional love. And and we let them know that we're still working on it. And that allows them to feel that unconditional love more, even when we mess up as parents. And so that's significant, right? That even when we try something with our child and it doesn't turn out exactly like we hoped it would, we can still feel significant because we love our child and we're improving and we're learning every day. Remember, children are great by their very natures, and we have that privilege and that responsibility to learn from them and to teach them.
Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.